Good morning, students. Welcome to the physics class. Our topic for today is heat. Now, let us first talk about this topic, heat. What is heat? Heat is defined as a form of energy. Now, this word energy, we have done in earlier class. What does it mean? The ability to do work. So, if we go to this line, heat means form of energy and energy means ability to do work. So, does it mean heat can do work? Let's see this. Can heat do work? When we heat, say, some water in a container, what happens? The warm water rises up. It is the heat energy which is doing work, causing the movement of water. Let's take another example. If you're cooking something in a pressure cooker, after some time we hear the whistle blowing. What happens? In the pressure cooker, we are having whatever material we have taken for cooking. Let's say rice, we have water in it. We place the entire setup on a burner. Heat energy is supplied. This heat energy converts water into steam. The pressure of the steam here pushes the lid, the weight on the lid up, and which results in the whistle. So here the heat is doing the work of pushing the weight on the lid up. So we see here heat can definitely do some work. Now when we talk about heat, we say heat is a physical quantity. Physical quantity means it can be measured. The unit that we commonly use for measurement of heat is joule. Another common term that we use or unit that we use for measurement of heat energy is calorie. It's either measured in terms of joule or in terms of calories. There are many other units. For us, let us focus on these two units. Now, see, we take a cup of coffee in our hand. What happens? What do we feel? We feel it's hot, right? Next, what we do is, we take a cube of ice in a hand. What do we feel? We feel the sensation of cold. Now, what exactly is happening there? When you take the piece of or the cube of ice in your hand, it's a heat energy flowing from your hand to the cube of ice, which results in the sensation of feeling cold. Similarly, when you're holding a hot cup of coffee mug in your hand, the heat energy flows from the coffee mug to your hand. Hence, the sensation of hot or warmth we feel. Now, this sensation of hot or cold is completely relative. Let's take a small activity to understand this. What we do is, we'll take 3 containers. Say container A, container B and container C. We fill up container A with some warm water. Remember, warm, not hot. Otherwise, chances are there that you might burn your hands in the course of the activity. In the second one, in container B, we take the normal tap water. And in container C, we take some water, cold water. So we take a water from the refrigerator of cold water. Next step, we will take our hands, say the left one we immerse in cold water and the right one we immerse it in the warm water. Let us remain in this posture for some time. After a minute, we take our hands up and once your hand is in the cold one, you get the sensation of cold. Similarly, in the warm one, you get the sensation of warmth. Next, what you do is take both the hands out and now immerse both the hands in the tap water. What happens? What's the sensation? You feel the difference in the temperature. You feel the difference in the hotness and coldness, isn't it? So we say that the feeling of hot and cold is a relative term. The cold closely associated with the term heat is temperature, but mind you, they are not the same. Temperature is the measure of the degree of hotness or coldness of our body. We measure the temperature of a body by use of a thermometer. The various scales used for measurement of temperature. Now, since we said this feeling of hot or cold is a relative term, what we do is when you're measuring temperature, you're actually comparing it to some standard value. Now, this standard value has been accepted universally. What we do is when we select the scale for a thermometer. Now, let's first of all, let's move on to the description of a thermometer. Then we'll come back to the scale. A thermometer, we are having a bulb which is filled with mercury. This is attached to a glass tube. Inside the glass tube, we have a very narrow tube running, a very thin tube running. This is known as the capillary tube. Followed it? Now, there are markings in this thermometer, graduated. How are this graduation done? So we sit here to set the markings. We compare, or we take two standard temperatures. The lower point, which is known as the lower fixed point, the melting point of ice is taken as the lower fixed point. The maximum temperature that we can measure here, we take it as the upper fixed point. In any scale, not just this fixed thermometer, in any scale, whenever you are measuring temperature, the lower fixed point corresponds to the temperature of, corresponds to the melting point of ice, and the upper fixed point corresponds to the boiling point of water. Am I clear till here? Okay. Now, the scales of temperature that we'll use are Celsius scale. We'll be talking about the Celsius scale and the Fahrenheit scale. In the Celsius scale, the lower fixed point, which is the melting point of ice, is taken as 0 degree. We read it as 0 degree Celsius. And the upper fixed point, which is the boiling point of water, is taken as 100 degree Celsius. In Fahrenheit scale, the freezing point of water or the melting point of ice is taken as 32 degree Fahrenheit, and the upper fixed point, which corresponds to the boiling point of water, is taken as 212 degree Fahrenheit. Now, to study the scales of temperature, let's take each of the scales separately. Individually, we'll see them. Let's talk about the Celsius scale. So, in this scale, the lower fixed point which corresponds to the melting point of ice, we take it as 0 degrees Celsius, and the upper fixed point which corresponds to the boiling point of water, we take it as 100 degrees Celsius. In this scale, between the upper fixed and the lower fixed point, 100 equal divisions are made, and each division corresponds to a temperature of 1 degree Celsius. Similarly, when we are talking about the Fahrenheit scale, in Fahrenheit scale, the upper fixed point and the lower fixed point. The lower fixed point is taken as 32 degree Fahrenheit, which corresponds to the melting point of ice, and the upper fixed point, which corresponds to the boiling point of water, is taken as 212 degree Fahrenheit. The division, the number of divisions between lower fixed point and the upper fixed point, 108 divisions are made, 180 divisions are made, and here each division corresponds to temperature of 1 degree Fahrenheit. Now, let's talk in details about the temperature. Now, you'll find that in our country, we commonly use the Celsius scale. You'll find in USA mostly they are using Fahrenheit scale, whereas the rest of the country we are using the Celsius scale. Now, let's go on to the thermometer in details. And when I started off, we said thermometer is the device used for measuring temperature. Now, a thermometer consists of a simple bulb which is filled with mercury. This is attached to a glass tube. Inside this tube, we have a very narrow tube running, which is known as the capillary tube. The concept or the principle of working with a thermometer is when this mercury, liquid metal, is brought in contact with a hot body, it absorbs heat. As a result of thermal expansion, it expands and it rises along this capillary tube. On reading the length of this tube, of this level of mercury in the capillary tube, we can infer about the temperature of the body. When we talk about thermometers, the common thermometers that we will be talking about today are clinical thermometer, and the laboratory thermometer. Both have more or less the same construction. The basic difference between a clinical thermometer and a laboratory thermometer construction wise is in the presence of a kink out here. In case of a clinical thermometer, the capillary tube, it consists of a kink. Whereas in a laboratory thermometer, the capillary tube is straight. Now, the function of this kink. When the thermometer is taken out, suppose you are measuring your body temperature, the thermometer is kept in your mouth, you take it out, you will find that the level of mercury does not fall down immediately. But In case of a laboratory thermometer, since there is no kink present, the moment you take the thermometer, the laboratory thermometer, away from the source or away from the body whose temperature is being measured, the level of mercury falls down. In fact, in case of a clinical thermometer, if you want to, suppose say the level of mercury has risen to this level. If you want to bring the level down, what we do? We take it and we give it a jerk. Because of this jerk, this mercury falls down. Now, to go to the basic difference between clinical thermometer and laboratory thermometer. Clinical thermometer is also known as doctor's thermometer. It is used for measuring temperature within the range of 35 degrees Celsius to 108 degrees Celsius. 35 degrees Celsius to 42 degrees Celsius. In case of laboratory thermometer, the range of temperature that can be measured is from 10 degrees Celsius to 110 degrees Celsius. Another important difference between clinical and laboratory thermometer is the presence of kink. In case of a clinical thermometer, the kink is not present, whereas in case of clinical thermometer, the kink is present. In case of a laboratory thermometer, the kink is not present. And so, the moment you take the body away from the source whose temperature is measured, in case of a laboratory thermometer, the level of mercury immediately falls down. That's all for today. The difference between clinical and laboratory thermometer we stop for today. Thank you.